Hi everyone and welcome to this new speed build in The Sims 4. Today I'm building a container home in the middle of the forest in Brindleton Bay, and I was inspired of course by the Eco Lifestyle pack, but also by a video I saw a couple years ago on tiny houses with a couple who had linked 3 containers together and made their home inside of them. It's been a while actually since I wanted to recreate something similar in The Sims 4, and I did try a few times, but I never really managed to get the result I expected from the builds, so I just kept giving up on them and moving on to something different. But this time, with the new items we got with Eco Lifestyle, and also some of the items we got with the Tiny Living Stuff pack, I finally managed to get what I wanted. The first thing I wanted to do though was to put solar panels on the roof, because on the tiny house I took inspiration from, they had a couple of solar panels on each container. They were actually living fully off the grid, and I had that in mind with this house, but I was thinking that the family who lived here had been living and building up in a way this home for a couple of years now, and they had to do some arrangement in their plans in a way because they welcomed a new family member in the midst of everything, and they had in mind to go off the grid, but with their new baby they had to delay for a little while that change or that shift in a way to living off the grid, but they're on their way to living off the grid someday anyway. So in this house there are 2 bedrooms, one being the master bedroom and the other one being for a toddler, and 1 bathroom. And I did play and test this house and everything works fine. I just had an issue with a chair in the living area. I have no idea what was going on. I thought it was because I had placed it with the move objects cheat that my Sims couldn't sit on it. But even without any cheats on, the chair was in a space that didn't require the move objects for it to work, so what I did is that I just moved it 1 pixel to the side and my Sim was able to sit on it. That was a really strange little glitch, but other than that, everything works fine. I also decided to go with only 2 containers instead of 3 like the house I took inspiration from, because I made the containers larger than how I usually make them, because usually I go with a width of 4 squares and a length of 9 squares, but here the width of the containers is of 5 squares, so I thought that just 2 containers would be more than enough space for a small family of 3 Sims. And I did place quite a few things in this home, because there's a laundry space, of course the bedroom and the bathroom like I said, a kitchen, living and dining area that I'm really excited for you guys to see because the interior of this house I think is really cool. And I did put some ideas that I've had for a while in it, and the garden has also quite a few activity and skill building items in it. Although I think I could have done a better job with the garden, to be honest. I actually thought for a while going back and redoing it entirely, but while editing the footage, it actually didn't look that bad. That's something that happens sometimes when I do building videos, because while I'm building, something doesn't really look that nice as I'm working on the build, but once I look back on it, I realized that that thing that I actually didn't really like at the time actually looks better than what I chose in the end. That's why I didn't change the garden right away. I wanted to check the footage out before and see if it was really as bad as I thought. And it actually wasn't that bad, but I still think that it could be better. I just need to improve on landscaping and decorating outdoor spaces a bit more, and I do have some ideas on how to do that, but there's just not enough time in the day for me to do everything I want. Anyway, going back to the build, I am now working on the kitchen, and you will probably see that soon, but as usual, I struggle to not jump from room to room in this build, but it's not as awful as usual, I have to say. This time, I just put the item I came across in the room I was thinking to put it into, and I just continued working on the room I was working on. I don't know why I didn't think of that before, but I might try to do that more often from now on. For most of the items I used in the kitchen / dining / living space, I decided to go for very light tones like beige, whites, and blues. There are some hints of yellows and purples here, and there's also some light greens in the kitchen, and that gives a very youthful and joyful feel to this room without being too much, I think. Because I think that this room is where your Sims can go and relax really well, read a book on a rainy day with those big sliding doors that give you the impression of being outside. And actually I was worried that those doors would prevent any objects from working inside of the room. And that's actually the first thing I thought when my Sim couldn't use the living room chair, but like I said, that chair wasn't in the way of anything, and I did put some curtains as well on those doors, and I was worried once again that it would prevent the Sims from using those doors, but nope, it works just fine. Now in the living room you'll find only 1 bookshelf. I didn't place any TV or stereo. First of all because I forgot, but also because I think that the family that lives here would rather enjoy the calm and the sound of nature rather than music or TV, and I also really imagined this family spending most of their time reading books anyway. I'm also really happy to have finally managed to use this table from Dine Out in the dining space on a residential lot, because that's something I've tried a few times before, but it never really worked, but here it just goes perfectly with the space. The kitchen as well is really spacious, and there's quite a bit of space for your Sims to cook and move around. I also wondered whether or not to place any pet items as well in this house. I don't know if the family would have adopted any pets. Talking about pets, I used quite a few packs in this build. I don't know how many, but I just wanted to have fun and build without thinking about which pack I was using, and it was really fun. Although, I did feel overwhelmed sometimes because there are some items that I'd like to use but never see, and some that sometimes I feel like I see for the first time even though they came from a pack that came out 4 years ago. I do feel like the organization of all the items in the categories is starting to be a bit messy and not as organized as it was supposed to be, especially with surfaces and shelves. It's just all over the place for that one, and with the decorations and clutter to use in the kitchen as well, I never know where to find what I want. As usual, I haven't decorated too much this house, but since it's also quite a small space, it wasn't really possible anyway, I think. By the way, this house isn't a tiny residential lot per se. I would have liked for it to be, but I checked too late for how many tiles I had used, and I had used too many, so that's not a tiny house. Since Eco Lifestyle came out, I have been spending a lot of time building houses in The Sims, and after this build, I still have 2 builds to work on. I still have some ideas for real tiny houses this time, but I need to try what I have been thinking of and see if it can actually work before I start working on making a video for it. I also would like to build a house off the grid as well. Anyway, I have way too many ideas and not enough time in the day. Now, I'm moving on to the laundry area, and that was inspired by the tiny house I took inspiration from for this house. For some reason, I really felt like this space, even though it's really simple, it gave a lot of life to this build and made it look a lot more realistic. I really enjoyed building this house. It didn't take me too long, only a couple of hours, but I split that time in half before I started working on the garden because I just had no clue what I wanted to do. But as I said, I really enjoyed building this house, and I think it got really close to how I imagined my dream house to be. And that's probably why I feel so good and happy when I look at the interior. The garden though would be completely different because for my dream house, I would need a lake. And that's actually something I'd like to see in The Sims 4, the possibility to build over a lake, just like we can in Sulani, but slightly different. It wouldn't be dreamy blue water, but a mountain lake, and I'd love something like that. So like I said earlier, I placed some curtains on the big sliding doors and the windows to give some privacy to The Sims, even though this house is just lost in the middle of the forest, and also it doesn't really matter in this game anyway. Then I moved on to the master bedroom, and I really like how this bedroom turned out. It's not very often that I say that as well, but I really like the color theme I went with. I love the new windows that I used on this build that came with Eco Lifestyle, but the other windows that came with this pack, I don't really know when I'm going to use them or even if I'm going to use them. I also wanted to use the new double bed, but the head of the bed was a little too high and covered a bit of the window, and I didn't want that, so I went with the bed from Seasons, which is actually my go-to bed. I love the cushions on this bed, and I'm glad that the bed from Eco Lifestyle has those as well. It looks a bit more realistic to me. Now, when it comes to the wood tones, I struggle to have them all matched together, especially because some of the wood tones that could match are paired with other bright colors that don't really work with the other color from another object that has the correct wood tones. I hope that makes any sense, but thankfully the dresser from Get Famous worked fine with the rest of the bedroom. I really feel like I've been improving my building skills in The Sims recently because I'm starting to enjoy a lot more furnishing and decorating kitchens at the moment, and I don't think that they turn out as bad anymore. And in this build and another one that I started working on, the bedrooms I furnished didn't turn out as bad as they usually would as well. The bedrooms have some kind of personality and a style that I think they didn't have before. Now, though, I'd like to improve a bit more on my landscaping and decorating garden skill in a way. It's not the first time that I think about that, and I did start trying some new things, but it's not quite like I'd like them to be, but it'll come eventually. And if you have any suggestions, by the way, when it comes to gardens, just let me know. And if you'd like for me to build or attempt to build something in particular, let me know in the comments as well. I'd love to try some new things that I wouldn't have thought of, and I'm sure that you guys have amazing ideas that wouldn't cross my mind in a million years. Now, I'm working on the toddler bedroom, and of course I had to use the new toddler bed that came with Eco Lifestyle because that bed is amazing. Toddlers definitely don't have enough items for them, so it's really nice to see some new addition to this game. And I'm pretty sure that this bed is also going to become my go-to bed when it comes to toddler bedrooms. And so for this bedroom, I decided to go with a nature theme, and I used a few items to decorate the bedroom with this idea, with a frog on the wall, a cloud as well on the wall, ladybugs on the rug. Something I'd like to see being improved in the game as well would be the different style we can use to furnish babies, toddlers, and children's bedrooms. I know that we have the kids' room stuff, but I'd like, some more variety when it comes to the furniture. I really think that it's difficult to create a nursery, for example, or a unique looking bedroom in this game. Although I think I did a pretty good job in this bedroom. It's definitely really cute. The color theme I went for is really pastel looking and reflects a lot, I think, the values that the toddler's parents would have. I don't think I forgot to place any toddler items as well in this house, although I didn't place a high chair, but that was on purpose because toddlers never stay in their high chair anyway. At least in my game, they don't. It's very rare that my toddlers stay and eat their food in their high chair, so I didn't want to change the living and dining space for a chair that wouldn't be used anyway. Then I moved on to the bathroom, and that room is really small, and with the big window, it helped, to improve a little bit this space issue, but not really, because I didn't put a bathtub in this room. Although, since I made this house with a toddler living in it in mind, it would have been nice for me to put a bathtub somewhere, but actually, now that I think of it, I might be able to put a bathtub with a toilet and a sink in this bathroom. I don't know for the shower, but I think I could. I haven't been over decorating my bathroom as much anymore as well. I guess some of that inspiration has moved on to the kitchens and bedrooms now, but I really like the style of this bathroom, and the shower I used that came with seasons worked really well in that space. I decided to use a darker shade of blue with some yellow in the bathroom, and that contrasted with the beige tones of the wood flooring and the white of the wallpaper, sink, and toilet. Then I finally moved on to the backyard, and I had to put that at the very end of the building process because I really had no idea what to do. I really liked the idea of a curved fence that was inspired by the community spaces in Evergreen Harbor, and that was one of the new attempts that I did, although I think I can use it better, but I like the look of it. Once again with the furnishing, I tried to go with natural tones, although this time I used darker shades of woods because I was thinking that these furniture would be outside in the rain, the wind, and just the air in general, would wear them and tear them a little bit more than if they had been inside. Also, as you might be able to see, I placed a ladder going up onto the roof for when the solar panels would break, so that your Sims can go up there and repair them without having to go in build mode and find a place to put the ladder. It's already there and ready to use. I was also thinking that if you wanted to remove the solar panels and place some lounge chairs instead, it could have looked nice, or maybe even a garden up there could have been fun, although I don't know if that would be really realistic, but everything's possible nowadays. Now, when it comes to the activities to do in the backyard, I placed a candle making station, a flower arranging table, a kiddie pool, you have a clothesline as well, a bug house. I don't remember if I placed a beehive, but I might have. I also placed a dew collector, which I actually really like. I really like this new item, and the homemade look it has is really cool looking. This might actually become one of the items that I will always put in my house, my Sims houses, I think from now on. And I also placed a scarecrow. Of course, I did place as well some garden planners, but do I really need to mention those at this point because I placed them in every single one of my houses anyway? And now, I might even be able to place those wall planners in apartments, and that's also another idea I have. I'm just not sure of which style to go with the apartment, or even in which apartment to do that. But now that the pack has been out for a little while, and that I started to play a little bit more with it on my own, I have to say that this pack adds a lot to the game, and I really like how involved it gets with your Sims and with their surroundings and their neighborhood community. I really like this pack. But anyway, I'm going to leave you here, so as usual, you will find in the description all of the information to download this house on the gallery, as well as a link to the online gallery to download it from there. I really hope you enjoyed this build. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you have any suggestions, please let me know as well. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will talk to you in the next one.